on Tuesday Night Fights, but right now we understand it is running very close, near 50-50 of the phone calls. Let's check out these two fighters now on the Castro tail of the tape. And you see the tail of the tape noticeably tilted to the left. Holmes at 242. He started his comeback 2 years ago at 236 pounds. At 6'3" has the height advantage, and he has that big reach advantage to flick out the jab against the former Canadian heavyweight champion. We are in Mississippi, and these are the rules. Standing 8 count is in effect. So is the 3 knockdown rule. You can be saved by the bell only in the final round. This is scheduled for 10, and it's the 10-point must scoring system. And now, champ, let's see how you check this one out. Let's go to Sean's blackboard.
On tonight's boxing blackboard, brought to you by Head & Shoulders, former world heavyweight champion Larry Holmes. Use your left, Larry, like you did against Rocky Papelli, with a steering jab. Once the jab's working, steer Lakusta into a powerful right hand. And at your age, Larry, conserve your efforts. Make every punch and every move count. Waste not against Ken Lakusta. You have a good jab too, Ken. Slip his and counter. Try to steal his left with your jab. And aging fighters can lose their speed. Get in, score with quick punches against Larry, then move.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the beautiful Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, home of the spectacular Casino Magic. This bout is being sponsored by Casino Magic and Jimmy Wheeler and Big Wheel Promotions, and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. The matchmaker for this bout is Bo Williford. This bout is sanctioned by the Mississippi Athletic Commissioner, the Honorable Billy Lyons, Chairman. The judges for this bout are Chester Como, Freddie Steinwinder, and Martin Casino. The timekeeper, Jerry Taylor. Counting for the knockdowns, Ricky Taylor. The ringside physician, Dr. Lance Barnes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is our main event of the evening. This bout is scheduled for 10 rounds in the heavyweight division. Your referee from Metairie, Louisiana, Elmo Adolph. Now introducing the principals. First in the red corner, wearing blue trunks, he weighed in at 223 pounds, fighting out of Edmonton, Alberta, with a professional record of 21 wins, 19 defeats, and 1 draw, with 13 knockouts. Here is Ken Lakusta. His opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks. He weighed in at 242 pounds, from Easton, Pennsylvania, with a professional record of 56 wins and 4 defeats, with 38 big knockouts. Here is the former heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes.
Gentlemen, you'll receive your instructions in the dressing room. Look at me. I want a good fight all night long, okay? A nice, clean fight. Shake hands and come out fight.
When Larry Holmes appears on the USA Network, there is a back and forth on agreeing on an opponent for him. Holmes shopping around for his ideal opponents. I feel like sometimes we're the Holmes Shopping Network. And tonight he came out with a Ken Lakusta, who we saw a little while back in the comeback try of George Foreman. Does Ken Lakusta take anything as a learning experience from one former heavyweight champ to another?
Yes, he takes a lot, but this will be a different kind of fight. I mean, let's face it, Larry Holmes is not the kind of fighter like a George Foreman. He's not a thunderous puncher who just rolls over his opponent and forces the knockout. There's a good left hook by Lakusta. Larry is more of a patient fighter. He boxes around, he uses his movement, he lulls his opponent into this false sense of security, and then he nails him. And Larry's got power, but it usually doesn't come early in a fight. Usually it's late.
The comeback is now 2 years old after the 3 years off following the Mike Tyson fight. It started in April of 1991 with a first-round stoppage over Tim Anderson. It's now gone 9 fights, 8 wins, the 1 defeat at the hands of Evander Holyfield for the heavyweight championship. And quite frankly, Holmes in his last fight against Rocky Papelli, who certainly did not bring in as much experience as Ken Lakusta does, Holmes seemed to be bouncing around on his toes, more active than he has most of the time in this comeback.
And more of a left jab from him. You know, in that fight with Papelli, he was ripping that left jab, ripping his opponents to pieces. That left jab, bringing it from underneath, down by his leg and up, and the jab that he used to have as a heavyweight champion. A jab that we did not see in his first comeback. Remember when he fought Ray Mercer? Stood toe-to-toe, stood late in the corner.
And there is the jab of Holmes, standing now right in the center of the ring.
And that has been his best asset throughout his career. I mean, when he was the heavyweight champion of the world, he used that left jab to beat a lot of good fighters.
Holmes against the Lakustas and the Papellis, now playing a little. He is no fear right now in the ring, fully confident. But he's got to watch out for that right. That's the one that caught George Foreman if he's going to play around too much. But Larry Holmes right now staying in the light without getting into too much danger, trying to put the pressure on the fighters above and the champions to try to coerce a fight somewhere down the road, especially now with 2 titles out there. But at 43, the clock certainly is ticking on Larry Holmes. Coming down to the final 10 seconds.
And he prefers to fight Lennox Lewis. He loves that kind of style. He knows Lewis is a hard puncher, but he thinks that he has enough to beat him and take his title.
One of these engines was
Sellout crowd at Casino Magic, and you're watching on USA's Tuesday Night Fights the former heavyweight champion Larry Holmes.
Good fight fans around here. Their boxing is well developed here, especially the amateur levels.
And they are joined. Larry Holmes has been home sweet homes for Larry. He's fought several of his fights now here. He turned pro in 1973, March of '73, so he is now into his 20th year since that date, against Rodell Dupree, in which Holmes won a 4-rounder and cashed a check for $63. Amazing how life goes in cycles, because that's about what he's getting paid here tonight. Just kidding. Ken Lakusta, some of the bright spots that he has circled on his fight-by-fight. He is the former Canadian heavyweight champion. He won it twice, once against Conroy Nelson, the other time against Tony Morrison. But Ken Lakusta looks at his record and says, I went 10 rounds with Trevor Berbick. I went 12 rounds with Willie DeWitt. Into the 7th round before he was stopped by Michael Dokes. Went the distance 6-round fight with Tommy Morrison. He was also taken out in 3 by Foreman, a couple of rounds by Pierre Cota. He was knocked out in 1 by Razor Ruddock. But he has stepped in against some of the big names in the heavyweight division. But, you know, what could you say? Guys, 21-19. When you're 21-19 and still in the game, you're no longer chasing the dream.
But you have to give him a lot of credit. At a time when fighters don't face one another, he takes on anybody. Said, though, that he has no dreams of being the heavyweight champion. However, he has a dream about pulling off a surprise, perhaps tonight against Larry Holmes. I don't know. Said he never wants to face Tommy Morrison, who you talked about, and George Foreman again. Said those are the 2 hardest punchers that I've ever been in the ring with. A couple of good ones.
Well, Larry Holmes also very calculated, obviously, here in his last couple of opponents, but Larry wants the tailor-made guy, not only in these kind of fights, but even in the higher echelon fights. He thought Ray Mercer was made to order for him, and he was exactly correct. He didn't feel there was a danger in Evander Holyfield. He'd take Lewis, but figures Bo would give him problems. You know, if Tyson came out, he'd never have any desire to step back in the ring with Mike Tyson. Closing seconds in round number 2. We pause for this word from our local cable systems.
Isuzu outsells Toyota?
Yes, the rugged and powerful Isuzu pickups are a price-value leader in the Metroplex. Compare with Nissan and you'll find Isuzu pickups are hundreds of dollars less. Bargain hunters, factory-to-dealer incentives save you even more. Isuzu's broad selection of two-wheel drive and 4x4 models is sure to please the cost-conscious special people who are pickup owners. Savings match performance at Isuzu.
See your ISUZU dealer today.
At Best Buy, we're glad to...
Welcome to ringside, USA's Tuesday night fights, round number 3, and Kenny Lakusta gets by his what has been fatal round. He has been stopped on 13 occasions. He has 13 knockouts, but the second round is the round he has gone down 5 times, or at least stopped. He's never been counted out of a fight, so he gets past there. Larry Holmes flicking out the jab. Fight phone is in operation here tonight. We're trying to get your evaluation. If you think Larry Holmes should still be fighting and given another title shot, there's the number to call. If you don't think he should get another title fight, 900-370-3161. Larry Holmes giving an impassionate expression of his desire to continue to fight and why he should, not taking the heavyweight division very seriously, saying that the guys on top in the top 10, he said he'll fight anybody in the top 10, but they don't want to fight him. It's a question of what would they gain, the Garcias, the Morrisons, the Moores, in fighting a Larry Holmes. Is that the question, or would they rather stay away from Holmes, fearing him still at this point?
Also, something else that's a big factor out is monetarily how to put a fight like that together. Holmes would to face someone in the top 10, he would certainly want big dollars. He got $1 million when he fought Ray Mercer.
Plus, he could always say these guys don't want to fight me, but when it comes down to it, can then say, well, they're not offering me enough money.
Exactly. Financially, they have to be able to sell a fight like that. That's why it's all about appearance.
He is certainly setting up the right hand. And you talk about appearance. Larry Holmes started his comeback at 236 pounds. He now weighs 242. Now, for the Mercer and Holyfield fights, when he got serious, he got down to 233.
Good combination by Ken Lakusta. He was on the scale, but he had all of his clothes on when he weighed 242. He says about 231 he weighed. Both fighters, in fact, said the scale here in Mississippi is heavy.
I know you try to pick it up to put it right on that platform.
It's a heavy scale, yes. You were on those one-liners tonight. Ken Lakusta's hands down by his waist.
Lakusta says he wants to hear from the crowd. Says he's got to mix it up, give different angles, move around.
That's not the way to mix it up with a Larry Holmes.
No.
This is a man with a superior jab. You have to rob him of that jab. You have to take that away first, and then you'll be able to work your combinations. He is a very smart fighter. Knows the ring.
When you fly in, Coach, are you comfortable or...
Under the big top tonight. And it is a festive atmosphere here at Casino Magic. Larry Holmes turning it up. There is the big right, the pursuer. There is no question Larry Holmes' last few fights have certainly picked up his activity ever since the Mercer fight. It has taken him 4 or 5 fights to get back into the rhythm. And at 43 brings that vast experience and what he thinks is still enough skills to earn another title fight. And he wants Lennox Lewis. What do you think of a Lewis-Holmes matchup?
Well, he is certainly marketable. I mean, a former heavyweight champion of the world. He's got a winning streak, going. So he's smart about boxing. He knows the fight game. So I think he's certainly marketable. And it's all, like I said, it's about appearance. It's about how many people will watch him fight, pay to watch him fight for a heavyweight championship of the world.
I don't know if Larry, if he enjoys these fights as much as he enjoys still being a fighter again. He's in the spotlight, something to do in training. Maybe a very light regimen, especially for this fight. But the money, the talk about wanting the championship. And after a 7-year reign in which he was never really taken into the hearts of the fans, in those last few fights, he's hearing the crowd chant his name. And the win over Mercer. And going the distance in the title with Holyfield. I think Larry has become addicted once again to being a heavyweight fighter, heavyweight contender. Although he is not ranked at this moment in the top 10. He was the last time we saw him by the WBC, ranked 8th or 9th. But I understand he has not paid his sanctioning fees from the Holyfield fight. So, whoops. Mysteriously has slipped out of the top 10.
Strange how that can happen.
Lakusta just standing in front of Larry Holmes.
Larry Holmes now is trying to pot shot. He said he's not going in this fight looking for an early KO. He says people are not getting their money's worth. He wants to show the science of boxing. He wants to block his opponent's punches while he lands his own.
And he is showing the full extension of the 81-inch reach. Inside 10 seconds of the 4th round. It's scheduled for 10.
Start a project with Minwax wood finish and turn new into treasured, ordinary into extraordinary, even pine into cherry, because Minwax wood finish makes it easy to turn any project into a beautiful masterpiece. Minwax makes wood beautiful.
Just in time for National Woodworking Month, Minwax introduces Wood Beautiful, an exciting new magazine devoted to decorating with wood. Make your home more beautiful. Get your free magazine. Call 1-800-44-STAIN.
A terrorist group threatens atomic disaster.
I have the bomb!
Now an unlikely combat team.
She's too good looking to be anything more than window dressing.
Faces the mission of a lifetime.
We've got a situation here that could make Shanoka look like a pop gun and she's pointing at.
The left jab from Larry Holmes. He brings it here. There's 1, 2. Watch the step. Steps right in with that left jab. That is a weapon that is controlling this fight. Lakusta doesn't know what to do with that left jab. He's trying to pull away from it. When you do that against a fighter like Holmes, he just simply extends it.
This guy's having a good time.
He's ready to dance.
Larry Holmes, 56 wins, 4 defeats. His losses at the hands of Michael Spinks twice, Tyson and Holyfield in his 2 different comebacks. He has been down only 3 times in his career. 3 fighters. Throw that out as a little trivia. Who knocked Larry Holmes down in the career? Well, you know, one of them is Tyson. That's the only fight he was stopped. But the other 2 fighters that had him down were Ronaldo Snipes and Ernie Shavers. And that goes back a while.
And that's back during the time when he ruled the heavyweight championship of the world. He was the man who fought everybody. Wins over Weaver, Shavers, Trevor Berbick, Ali, Leon Spinks, Ronaldo Snipes, Jerry Cooney, Tim Witherspoon, Bone Crusher Smith, Marvis Frazier.
Won the title in June of '78 against Ken Norton.
And ducked no one.
And our records show us that...
Oh, good right hand. There he is, setting up that right hand, going to the jab to the body again.
There it is again. And now piling it on is Larry Holmes. Our records show that he weighed in at 209 pounds against Ken Norton in '70. Well, that's 15 years ago. So Lakusta taking the shots here in the 5th. He has shown a little offense at this point. Is unable to get in the jab of Larry Holmes. Lakusta at the age of 37 from Edmonton, Alberta. And
off balance. That was a push, left-handed push from Holmes.
I think Larry took a fan seriously the last fight when they said, hey, why don't you fight someone your own age? We couldn't put Holmes and Foreman together. We couldn't coax Ernie Shavers out of retirement. So the next best thing, Kenny Lakusta at the age of 37, but certainly a game fighter who has stepped in with most of the names in the heavyweight division.
Stepped in and stepped out.
Fifth round action. It is scheduled for 10. Larry Holmes getting a glorified sparring session here against Kenny Lakusta. And we will pause for these words from our local affiliates.
Look what's smoking at Coulter's Barbecue.
Welcome back to USA's Tuesday Night Fights. Larry Holmes, the former heavyweight champ at the age of 43, on his toes as he steps into the ring for the second portion of this fight.
On his toes, but he is noticeably tired in this fight. You know, when we saw him against Rocky Papelli, he looked impressive. He went out, he did his job, stuck the jab out, he put the punches together, he cut his opponent. This fight, he's taking his time.
Well, as Larry Holmes convinced fans that yes, indeed, he should be given another title shot, if you are convinced, there's a number to call. If you don't think that at the age of 43, and after getting a title fight in this comeback, he is worthy of another one, you saw the number there. 95 cents a call. USA's proceeds go to the U.S. Olympic boxing team. We'll have tabulations for you after tonight's fight.
Left jab. Larry just wants Lakusta to come in just a little bit, just more into reach.
Larry Holmes, who said guys like Garcia, Moore, Morrison, you could put them in a bag, shake them up, pull one out, and I could beat anyone.
Big bag. You could shake it. I can't quite shake that big bag.
Well, we'll hear what Michael Moore has to say about that.
Best punch
in a couple of weeks
from Lakusta. Overhand right, and he set that up with a left jab.
Lakusta says, hey, you could call me opponent, but I could punch, I could turn a fight with one shot. When he nailed George Foreman, and then in turn was nailed and stopped in the next round, the third round, he was talking about Foreman and said, with George, you know where the punches are coming from, so you can brace yourself. Unfortunately for Lakusta, he knew it was coming, but he couldn't get out of the way to brace himself. With Holmes, he knows he's the craftier fighter. And it's not a question of bracing for the power. It's keeping away from any of these shots. Holmes is looking for the big right, and you can see the damage he's doing under the left eye of Lakusta.
Yeah, that is some swelling that Ken had coming into this fight, but he has even more now that Larry's been working on it. Referee Elmo Adolph has been asking the fighters not to talk. Larry is talking to Kenny now, something that he perhaps picked up from Muhammad Ali, who used to talk to his opponent. Try to psych them out.
Larry Holmes insists he's in the heavyweight picture, and we'll see more of the heavyweight picture in the next couple of weeks. Next week, one of the guys, Larry Holmes, says that he can handle Alex Garcia, who is now ranked number 5 in the world at 30-1, and he faces Eric the Whip Curry at 21-2. That is our main event next week. And also in the first fight, the U.S. Olympian Eric Griffin off to a quick start as a pro. Saturday's Michael Moore, still undefeated, although not very impressive in his last fight against Bone Crusher Smith. And the Another of the former heavyweight champs still in action, Tony Tubbs. That's a couple of weeks from tonight on the Tuesday night fights. 7th round, Larry Holmes now, the lateral movement. Trying to corner Ken Lakusta. Unconventional would probably be the conventional way to describe Lakusta. No amateur fights. He actually was a kickboxer. #1 in the world at one point. Also fought as a tough man. So no amateur fights, 40 professional fights, nearly split down the middle. 21 victories, 19 defeats.
Said he's undefeated as a tough man. He is definitely tough. Standing in there. Taking a look at these wraps. You know, as these fighters sweat, that sweat goes underneath this tape and pulls it loose. In the amateurs, they have a great little piece of Velcro that they stick over that to keep that tape from coming loose so you don't have a time to stop. However, in the professionals, it's a good time for the referee to take a look at a fighter. Good stopping point. I got to work on the tape. But while he's working on the tape, he's also taking a look into his eyes, seeing if the fighter's okay, seeing if he's responding to questions.
Last June, Larry Holmes, courageous effort against Evander Holyfield, going 12 rounds for the title. At that time, you start thinking about guys in their 40s in other sports and how they stack up. Guys, of course, Nolan Ryan sits atop them all and the effectiveness he has had. Gordie Howe in hockey, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played into his 40s in basketball. But in a matchup like this, and Holmes knows it himself, going up against a Lakusta, it's not Larry Holmes in the element of fighting the best and still at this age handling himself so well. It's like a Nolan Ryan pitching to a college freshman team, or Gordie Howe against a high school club, Jabbar against a Division III team. I mean, that's what you're seeing tonight. And Holmes knows it. He just says, I'm staying busy. I just want to make sure they know I'm still around. Yeah, and knows that he could get to a different level for the right price.
Yeah, and he's still waiting for that big Rocky story for him. I mean, at this point in his career, he's waiting to get the phone call late at night that they need somebody to fill in for a world title fight, that one of the fighters had pulled out.
You know, you would think he makes more sense for Lennox Lewis than a Riddick Bowe, but it's ironic that when you hear from both corners, as we saw early tonight, that the Riddick Bowe camp says, well, we'll leave the door open, and the Lennox Lewis camp says we really have no interest.
Well, he's also broken the code of silence in boxing. He's had bad words about some of the big, powerful promoters in this sport, and that sometimes can be terrible for your boxing career. You can never get the big breaks, so just sit back and wait for you to get too old. And you know what? That's what he's saying, and he's right about that. If you break that code of silence now, promoters don't want to touch you. Other fighters don't want to face you because you're a good fighter. And now cut opening up underneath that left eye. You talked about the swelling earlier in this fight. It finally burst.
A dissection. Ken Lakusta said he has had enough. The crowd unhappy, but you see the damage under the eye of Ken Lakusta as he was just being jabbed and jabbed and jabbed and dissected by Larry Holmes, who did exactly what he had to against a standing target. This is how it ended after 7 rounds. You see the damage under the eye of Ken Lakusta, who rolled the dice and came up snake eyes.
Black eyes. Here it is.
That's it. That's it. Keep steady pressure on that during the whole round. Let me see your eye. Let's see your eye. Let me see your eye. I'm going to call a fight. Okay. Put that pressure on that lower part.
I mean, a good call from the corner. This man was completely outclassed. He was not even in the fight. He wasn't even trying to throw punches. Why let him stay in there and take the beating of those jabs and those right hands? The corner men, I give them a lot of credit. They're the ones that stopped that fight. Barry Lakusta, Mark St. Clair, Chuck Daskowitz over there. They said that's all.
61st fight in his professional career and his 57th win. Larry Holmes knew he had a man made to order in front of him, and he did what he had to do. Ken Lakusta could say, well, I went 7 rounds with Larry Holmes, but never really putting any kind of a pressure or concern on the former heavyweight champion. And we are ready now for the announcement. Let's go up to our ring announcer, Rip Poulos.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout was stopped at the end of the 7th round through advice from the challenger's corner, and the winner by retirement, Larry Holmes.
Larry Holmes never at a loss for words, and when we return, the ex-champ will join us here at ringside after this victory over Ken Lakusta. Larry Holmes, the winner on a TKO.
Tonight's Great Fight Card is one of many premier sports and entertainment events brought to the Mississippi Gulf Coast by Casino Magic in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Less than an hour from New Orleans, Casino Magic is an ultra-modern 100,000 square foot complex providing non-stop excitement 365 days a year. For more information, call 1.
Welcome back to Casino Magic, USA's Tuesday night fights, and Larry Holmes puts up victory number 57, stopping Ken Lakusta in the 7th round. And Larry, you said even before the fight, these are kind of means to reach an end. Just your feeling on what these 7 rounds meant to you.
Well, that was good. You know, I only had 2 weeks really to prepare from the last fight. I was in California in the court for 2 weeks, fighting a battle in the courts, and those are the kind of battles nobody never wins. But, you know, I feel okay. I was sluggish. I didn't feel strong and as sharp as I would have been if I'd continued to fight, you know, and stop taking any days off in training. But nevertheless, you know, I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and we'll look at it and see what's next.
Well, we know that you want to get a heavyweight championship shot. Do you think tonight helped you or hurt you, this exposure?
Maybe it helped me if I didn't look bad, because these guys are fighting guys who are not looking good. You know, Marlon Turkison here at the Casino Magic with Big Wheel Promotion told me today that they're willing to put up any amount of money, a reasonable amount of money for me to come here to fight a world champion. So even though a top contender, so all them no fighting contenders out there like Alex Garcia and Tommy Mars and the George Foreman, which they signed, the Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis, you know, we're ready to do it. All we need is a top contender to get in the ring and beat me up, and then if they do that, we know it's time for Larry Holmes to get out of the ring then.
Larry, the clock is certainly ticking for you at the age of 43. Do you have a timetable where you would wave the white flag as far as a championship fight?
Oh, yeah. If I can't sign a title fight by June, USA will have my last fight on May 18th. And that will be goodbye for boxing. Boxing has been good. I can't say that about the promoters out there, but boxing has been good in general. And now that I found 2 people in Marlon Turkison and Jimmy Will, Big Wheel Promotion has come back to back me, I got a chance. But these guys are shying away from these guys because they're taking guys like Ferguson, which you can't fight. Nobody knows Lennox Lewis. Nobody knows Tucker. So who they should fight? They should at least fight a guy that people can relate with. And I think the people know that I can fight. In here, it was extra hot today in this tent, 85, 90 degrees, and only had 2 weeks to train. You know, I didn't do what I wanted to do, but I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish.
You know, you talked about, and before you fight, we played your interview about why you're fighting this fight, and you understand exactly what this fight is all about. You're not getting too excited. But the one thing I have to ask you about this is the perception to the fans of seeing a former heavyweight champion against a guy who's probably not ranked in the top 50, a question of dignity. Do you see this as affecting the fans'